The ALTÉRRA Fund COP28 Climate Summit. UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan at the COP28 Climate Summit in Dubai announced the creation of a $30 billion climate fund named Altera that aims to attract $250 billion of investment by 2030. About Altera Fund. The term altera typically refers to a Latin word that is often used in various contexts to signify alteration, transformation, or variation. This initiative seeks to steer private markets towards climate investments and focus on transforming emerging markets and developing economies. From the total fund of $30 billion, $25 billion would be allocated for climate strategies and $5 billion to incentivize investment flows into Global South. In collaboration with the global asset managers BlackRock, Brookfield, and TPG, Altera has committed $6.5 billion to climate-dedicated funds for global investments, including the Global South. Main focus areas are energy transition, industrial decarbonization, sustainable living, and climate technologies. What is climate fund or climate financing? It refers to local, national, or transnational financing drawn from public, private, and alternative sources of financing that seeks to support mitigation and adaptation actions that will address climate change. The UNFCCC, Kyoto Protocol, and Paris Agreement call for financial assistance from parties with more financial resources, that is, developed countries, to those that are less endowed and more vulnerable, effectively, the developing countries. This is in accordance with the principle of common but differentiated responsibility and respective capabilities, CBDR. Green Climate Fund, world's largest climate fund, accelerates transformative climate action in developing countries. It was created as a part of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Their primary goal was to assist developing countries with climate change adaptation and countermeasures. The UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. The UNFCCC is the United Nations entity tasked with supporting the global response to the threat of climate change. It was signed in 1992 at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, and also known as the Earth Summit, the Rio Summit, or the Rio Conference. The UNFCCC entered into force on March 21, 1994. Its ultimate objective is to stabilize greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere at a level that will prevent dangerous human interference with the climate system in a time frame which allows ecosystems to adapt naturally and enables sustainable development. The convention has near universal membership of 197 parties. It is the parent treaty of the 1997 Kyoto Protocol as well as the 2015 Paris Agreement. The 1997 Kyoto Protocol. The Kyoto Protocol was adopted on 11 December 1997. Owing to a complex ratification process, it entered into force on 16 February 2005. Currently, there are 192 parties to the Kyoto Protocol. The protocol was an agreement among developed nations to reduce carbon dioxide emissions and greenhouse gases in an effort to minimize the impact of climate change. The 2015 Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty on climate change. It was adopted by 196 parties at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP21, in Paris on 12 December 2015. It entered into force on 4th of November 2016. The goal is to hold the increase in global average temperature to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels and pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. It also provided a framework for financial, technical, and capacity building support to those countries who needed to mitigate climate change, strengthen resilience, and enhance abilities to adapt climate impact.